Hey friends, it's Suzanne, and I am here live on a Thursday evening. It's a little coffee talk, fireside chat with the angels and with our guides. And I got these gorgeous roses today, and here live on a I'm hearing a little return. Hold on. With okay, sorry about that. So I've got a message tonight about physical symptoms that may or may not be caused by your ascension or your expansion into your light. And I've gone back and forth on this issue and this topic and questioned it a lot over the years that I have been growing in my own intuition. And as many of you know, that's something that I teach in my Akashic Records class. But I want to share because it seems like a lot of my clients are having a lot of physical symptoms and like true experiences. And I certainly am. And so because of that, I'm paying attention. And I say this from the bottom of my heart, but also just more as a way to look at what may or may not be going on in your own body, in your own physical awareness. So I've been having interesting, strange pain, which has always been correlated with the release of trauma. That has been occurring in my body for the last 3 years, ever since I started to release my incredibly deeply seated childhood trauma. And so that's been happening. My back went out for the first time. There's some dizziness and interesting things going on. And I want to say, by the way, always be sure you're working with trained healthcare providers as well. So I've been working with my chiropractor. I went to my doctor today. I'm taking care of it with medicine, with acupuncture, different body work, because really that's the thing. So I haven't really been quite understanding, and I've been questioning and talking to friends, like, what's going on here? Is it my age and frankly menopause? Is it this? Is it ascension symptoms? Is it stress? Is it the weather? And truly, it's all of those things. Truly, it's all of those things. My guides are showing me that it's all interrelated. But I decided to sit down tonight and draw some tarot cards about it and really try to get clear on it. And what I was suspecting really showed up in the cards. And so I want to show you this because it's quite fascinating. And I want to show you, like, whether it's for this or not, using cards is a really grand, helpful way sometimes to get an answer when you're trying to like puzzle it. You're trying to ask your body what's going on. You're trying to ask your intuition. You're trying to ask your doctors. Sometimes go to the cards as a way to connect. And there's actually an introduction to tarot card reading product in my store at SuzanneAlexandria.com. There's also a Reiki for your home kit in my store too at SuzanneAlexandria.com. And I'm going to get to that. Like, with these physical symptoms, one of the tools that always helps me very, very much, or the most in terms of staying centered, is Reiki, to keep my energy in my core, keep myself centered, keep reminding myself that I am the creator here, and I am source, and I am powerful. And while I also might need some assistance from outside caretakers, my mindset has so much to do with it. And these cards show this. So when I asked the cards, what can you tell me about my health it's kind of shocking what they showed. And that's why I'm here on a video, because you just can't make this stuff up. And what I want to say, oh, here's the precursor to it. We've been encountering a lot of change with recent eclipses, and we recently went through something called the Heaven's Cross, like a gateway called the Heaven's Cross. And apparently that is an incredibly big deal. You can look that up. And what I understand of it very generally, but I would encourage you to look it up and see what astrologers are saying now, is that the way I understand it is that we as humanity kind of crossed over a threshold. And a lot of people are saying this now, that a lot of people have awakened to what's beyond the veil, and the energy is shifting rapidly, because we are all part of the vast creation of an upswing in our intuition, even I would say our intelligence, our emotional intelligence. Enough people are interested in that and doing that kind of thing, that there is an upswing and there's a shift. It's really like the elevation is changing. And you know what happens when the elevation changes? It affects your eardrums and your ears, and you have to open it. That's happening through people's bodies as much as, in their consciousness, because we're all united, and our mind and body and spirit are becoming more and more closely connected, more integrated, more in harmony. And as you know, that's the kind of energy work that I help people with, this inner integration in the body, soul integration and light code integration in the body. So it is a real thing that can affect you. It can affect your body temperature. It can affect your mood. It can affect your energy. It can affect lots of things. Okay. So I want to say that, and so the symptoms or the experiences I'm having are, but few of many possibilities. And I guess mostly that my angels and I want to just say, pay attention to your own inner barometer. Like, of course, that's what we always want you to do. Pay attention to how you treat yourself, your thoughts, and your physical ways. Because these cards just explain my story in 3 cards or 2 cards. And, at the end of the day, my body is shifting because I have literally and figuratively and emotionally and energetically stepped out of about a zillion stories from my very traumatic past, from immense brainwashing and immense control at the hands of parents who did not treat me very well. And so the first card that I drew was this one, the 6 of Swords. And I'm reading these tonight in a very literal way based on the image. If you read a tarot book, you'll see a slightly different meaning. Like I take this completely literally, that when I was this little child dressed in a little purple robe, that's my mother next to me. And there's all these swords of truth in front of us, but we're not holding the swords. They're coming from somewhere else. And there's someone driving the ship. We can't even see her. Her head is covered. She doesn't even see what's going on. And there's a person driving the entire ship and not letting us see through his swords of truth. Now, that's how this card reads to me. And in my childhood, that was the exact circumstance where I grew up with an incredibly abusive father, and who was incredibly controlling and still is. So when I was a child, I developed all of my personality based on that. And this is where it gets into therapy, psychology, but also energetics. Because as I've healed and worked through this dynamic, the power play and the manipulation that I was ensconced in, and it was like a prison, his prison of us. As I've broken away from that, I've had to recreate literally my personality and my energetics and, well, my whole life. And that has taken a whole lot of energy. And at this time, for many of us, now we've done that psychologically, and we've understood, and we've done the work, and our bodies, whoever has done anything similar based on like changing from your childhood to your present, even if it's not that kind of devastating trauma, but it's a framework. My point is that it was a framework in which I developed all these personality traits and literally personalities that have been breaking down and disassembling and dissimilating. So yesterday I had an experience where my guides and healer angels took me through a massive release of those personalities, and it was so intensely visual. I saw it like a chain that holds a big, huge ship down in the ocean, like with those big links. And it was just like probably eons of personality conditioning. And I'm not even going to judge that, because it was what it was, but it wasn't me. It wasn't my sovereignty. It was layers of personality on top of me, like encasing me, that I walked around covered in and being. And I've been walking away from that now for these years recently, and it's all for my liberation. And it's all been stored in my consciousness, but also in my body and my brain and my cells. And so that's what we want to emphasize, that at various points you might have similar situations where you have a big awareness and you step out of it and realize, oh, that's not what I want to be like anymore. That's the old me. I'm changing directions. And the body, for a while still, will have to release the old consciousness that it stores, because the soul and the mind and everything lives in the body. So I'm hoping that makes sense. So that's what I've been doing for years. And I dare say, if you're even interested in this topic, you're listening to this, you probably have too. And I hope these visuals help. So the 8 of Swords came up next. So this was the past card, this was the present, and then I drew a future. So the present is 8 of Swords. And so that's still the present, where I am beyond the swords. I've stepped in front of them, but there's still some binding. My eyes are still closed to some extent. There's still a wrap around my eyes. I still feel like my hands are tied behind my back. And what I feel like energetically in my body is that it's like a bodice or a corset is being released. Like I am being released from the patriarchal system that I grew up in. And I know many of you think and understand that that's what you're also doing, is coming into your own. And I'm not judging all men. I'm not judging that. My situation is unique. But regardless of situation, many of us are coming into our own sovereignty. That is not any kind of, there's no ruler. There's no one else ruling my boat now. There's no one else. I know that I'm responsible for doing that and for creating my life, and I'm the creator, and I'm the master of it. I'm the manifester with spirit at my back, and I am source. And so are you. And so as a lot of us pop out of those old constructs and then start to reshape ourselves, we are still perhaps in a bit of a binding. And so what I feel is that, like, my nervous system, as I've come out of fight or flight, and I have found peace, and a lot of you took my co-creating peace class with Dr. Carrie Taylor. That's a class also on my website that is for reinventing ourselves after trauma. And so we've been redefining how we see our past and how we understand it, and even how we speak about it. And all of that's affecting the body and the physical persona that we are really co-invent, or there's different ways I see it. Like, I'm inventing myself anew, but I'm also really just coming into the true me. So it's a remembering, but a reinventing. It's actually a resurrection. And that's what I'm getting from Isis. Because actually yesterday I drew this card, which is about life restored, the priestess of the phoenix. So actually I'm going to include that because it's so relevant for what so many of you light workers and psychics and seekers and people who are on the path of awakening. This is what it's about. It's about restoring yourself to truth. And if you ask me, it's about finding freedom from pain and suffering in a way that is so holy and so big, and it kind of hurts sometimes. It's kind of painful because we were in a cage for so long of our own thoughts that transcended into a cage of our own actions, and now it's changing. So what this says is that spiritual resurrection is gifted to you now. And I'm guided to read this for you. So take a moment to touch in and see if that's what's going on for you. And ask yourself, is what she's talking about, is there anything of relevance for me? Am I also in a resurrection time? Am I in a time of coming out of a shell or a cage or a bodice or a structure or a thought system that no longer fits me, that was an illusion? And am I in a resurrection time too? Or do I want to be? Maybe you want to call it in. Maybe. So all of this is, I always say, this in particular is my experience, and I share it because maybe there's something of relevance to it for you. But it says spiritual resurrection is gifted to you now. Whatever part of your life you thought to be dead is being revived and will flourish back to life. Now, that's really big. And if you're listening to this, that means that you have called that in for yourself. Whatever you thought was dead is being revived by your own thoughts and your own new actions and your own new steps. Just as the phoenix rises from the fire, transitioning from death into life, so too will you rise again, healed and renewed. This card brings a message that a trauma, an ending, a struggle, or an apparent defeat is not the end of the story for you. What may appear to be an ending can sometimes simply be the forces of ancient feminine power flowing into new pathways, pulling energy away from old forms so that they can transition into new forms. This can take short or long periods of time. It could be over days or years, weeks, months, or decades. It doesn't matter how long something appears to have been decaying. It will spring back into life at the right time. So that is so relevant. I hadn't read that yet. I pulled that card yesterday and I forgot to finish it, but it's from the Alana Fairchild amazing deck. Thank you, Alana, for creating these, the Isis Oracle. And life restored. So it's quite rational for you to question what's going on within you and understand that some, if not all, of the situation is getting cleared for your highest good because you're here asking for it and you've been working on it and you've been sending out prayers and you've been reconfiguring yourself for quite some time. I know that, it's been decades for many of us. And there seems to be the messages that I'm getting for myself and for many are that this is a pinnacle time of completion, and that the next few years are really about stepping into renewal and regeneration and really rebuilding in a powerful way from your own personal autonomy and sovereignty. So the other gift of the message is if you're in a place where you're starting a new project or if you have a burning desire, if you've known that you're here to build something, I know clients who are building, they've known for a long time they're going to build a healing center or a new kind of enterprise or a new kind of business because they got to retire. So now they're going to do readings and do spiritual work. If you are in any of that way, it's going to be a really crucial time to take it on now. Between now and 2027, because of the timing. And, I just speak occasionally about these big timelines that I hear about when I'm really feeling in alignment that's a major truth, and that is one that I'm feeling is very true. So let it go and let yourself be rebuilt and renewed and restored, and call it in and seek assistance when you need it. Go within more and more and more. That's the quintessential message. Get back to meditation, bigger, 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 more, more, more. When I finally took some time today to do that, to meditate and draw some cards, and it helped me piece together so well what's been going on the past few weeks. So, and I've done that in different ways, but it just crystallized it enough to make me want to get on here and say, hey, pay attention and keep asking intuition and guidance, your guides and your angels from on high. What do I need to know here? What's going to serve me? And again, I think I mentioned, but on my website, there's a Reiki kit, Reiki for your home. That's a powerful tool to help you be in the mindset and the energy of renewed energy. And people love it for that. So that's available. There's also a tarot card, little mini tutorial if you're new to tarot. And if you are really up for bigger service and change, then I do teach Akashic records to light workers and to intuitives and therapists. So that's available too. I just mention all that because you never know, it might be of service to you. But I love what I got as the third card, and I want to share that because whoever's listening, it's like I know this without a shadow of a doubt, that those of us doing this kind of big, deep inner work, there's always been a lot of pearls and gold and gems that we've gotten out of it. I think you can't not have that when you seek your own inner sovereignty and you hold it dear and you create it and you live by that. And because of that, because I have walked the walk and been continuing to break myself free of those old bindings and those old patterns and ways that have been on the planet for so long. I know, my life is already so rich and it just is getting richer. And I got the Queen of Cups card for the future. And I've gotten that card or some like that many times, enough that I really trust that getting my personal responsibility, getting my crown on, I'm wearing my crown now, getting my crown on, staying awakened, to live as the woman in sovereignty with spirit at my back and spirit working through me. It really is leading me to a life beyond my wildest dreams. And that was the promise of spirit to me 3 years ago, actually 4 years ago now, when spirit said, do you want to make some changes? And do you want to know what they're going to be? Because I didn't know I was going to go through all this trauma healing, but I did, and went through divorce. And I'm now in a place to bless it all and not hold on to any of it, but to know that sovereignty and self-ownership and self-discernment and self-awareness is like the biggest gift that I'll ever give myself. And I'm still learning how to rock that, frankly. I'm still learning what it means. I'm learning how to make choices and decisions based on that in bigger and bigger ways. So that's a lovely way for me to end this. I just wish that for you, if you've watched this long, and stay in your power, stay in your sovereignty, and really abide by what is highest and truest and best for you. And in that way, sometimes it means busting out of some old molds. And sometimes that's a little painful, but isn't it worth it? Isn't it worth it? So thanks for listening, and I'll see you all on the next video, and take care and namaste. Have a blessed